sudden passage of time. I don't know why these two are this ready to ski on the Upper East Side, but the answer to such questions generally boils down to New York City gonna be New York City. Bus honks at a goddamn baby carriage and zooms past without a single break. Also, listen to this That bus driver lays on the horn. You can hear it well past the point where the honking, which was already useless, has lost the origin of its very reason. So wait, that was the opening of Ghostbusters 2? I'm not saying you have to top the opening of the previous movie, but goddamn, that was underwhelming. We're gonna be worried about ooze? Ooze?
How many of them are there?
14. They're in here.
How big are they?
4 feet.
These assholes know they've been hired for a children's birthday party. So why the questions about the number and size unless you're just setting up the audience for a joke, huh? Huh?
I thought it was gonna be He-Man.
Holy shit. Was He-Man still this popular in 1989? I know the series lasted for 2 seasons in the early to mid-80s, but it was in syndication by this point and was basically gone by 1990. Are we sure these aren't the ghosts of children from 2 or 3 years ago?
You know, my dad says you guys are full of crap.
Yeah, but your dad made Kindergarten Cop, Junior, 6 Days, 7 Nights, Evolution, My Super Ex-Girlfriend, No Strings Attached, and Draft Day, and nothing else I can name or look up, so I wouldn't get all high and mighty about it.
No, he just says you guys are full of crap and that's why you went out of business.
The idea for this sequel is that the events of the first movie were tied to one specific paranormal occurrence. Once the Ghostbusters defeated Gozer, everything went back to normal. But are you telling me there weren't any other ghost sightings or problems around the world they could have been hired for? Life will never be as good as when the Sony CFS 220 Soundwriter was the pinnacle of boombox technology. Ray and Winston sing the Ghostbusters theme, and the kids say they want He-Man after the Who You Gonna Call part. And looking around the room, how did the parents running this birthday party f*** up the insane demand for He-Man that all these boys and girls have been clamoring for?
I'm tired of taking abuse from overprivileged 9-year-olds.
My thoughts in the YouTube comments section somehow make their way into the script.
Does he ever mention me?
Well, there's something strange. I invoke a skip. Look, the nepotism in the first 7 minutes of this movie is out of control. Don't you think I would have liked to have had the chance to be in Ghostbusters 2 back in the day? I could have pretended I love this puppy just as well as the director's daughter does here. And don't you think I could have created the series Working Moms? See what this movie took from me?
Hi, welcome back to World of the Psychic.
The movie will now show us this program for 3 minutes, which is way too long and unfunny for the movie's sake. However, it's way too short for a TV program. Peter introduces his guests here, gets their stories, and then the show ends. So what the f*** have they been filling up time with to this point?
I mean, just devil's advocate, Milty. I mean, shouldn't you have said, hey, the world's gonna end in 1992?
The problem with this whole scene is that Peter doesn't do this nearly enough. Gives his guests way too much respect during this scene. A charlatan can recognize a charlatan, and someone like Peter, who is in fact Bill Murray, lets these guests off the hook for some reason, leaving us with some bullshit stories that don't produce any laughs.
The end of the world will be on February 14th in the year 2016.
Seems like a pretty harsh response to Zach LaVine winning his second straight slam dunk contest.
Now I want you to put the Rigo in the arch.
Nobody puts Vigo in an arch. He's not only a terrific dancer, but somebody who's taught me that there are people willing to stand up for other people, no matter what it costs them. Somebody who taught me about the kind of person I want to be.
If everything you're doing is bad.
Oh, what amazing casting. They somehow got Morton Gore to play Janish. He's immoral and wicked vices. What the hell is Vigo doing here? Telling the unseen audience that something's about to go down with this painting? Holy shit. This is the place where King Missile found his detachable penis.
But those science chicks really dig that large cranium of yours, huh?
I think they're more interested in my epididymis.
I just looked that up, and shame on you, Egon. Not so much for the part you claim women are interested in, but for the joke you just told.
Gamelin-Prost infinite acuity test?
I highly doubt any test named after comedy writers is medically sound.
Subject weighs approximately 18 pounds and is about 8 months old.
How the f*** do you know his weight just by looking at him?
And whenever I brought it up, you'd get drowsy and fall asleep.
My college girlfriend also got drowsy when I brought it up. It's funny that she didn't have the same problem with my roommate.
I should have been your father. I mean, I could have been.
Well, if he was your biological son, he would be 50% different than he is now and a completely different child. So, no, you could not. I'm right there with you, kid. Suffering through this will they or won't they be plot is making me tired as well.
I'd like to run some gynecological tests on the mother.
Who wouldn't?
Getting horny over gynecological tests. Also, this either doesn't happen and it was just a joke to put in the movie, or Dana willingly got inspected by Egon for some bullshit test. Also, did they even look at the baby carriage? Wasn't that what was going crazy earlier?
It stopped right over there, in the middle of the crosswalk.
So we should definitely cross and do science-y stuff while cars are speeding through the intersection.
I've got 118 on the PKE.
2.5 GeVs on the Geiger meter.
These fake devices are the bleeding edge of LED technology. These scientists hypothesized that cutting through the road was smarter than checking the sewers or utility lines first. Why drill? I know you're probably not doing this with a license, so what's the difference between this and simply popping open a manhole cover?
Boss!
Egon continues the subterfuge that he's an actual construction worker, but aren't all three of these guys famous? How the does this cop or his buddy driving the car not know who they are?
I, Vigo, the scourge of Carpathia.
You mean like the same fictional country that Laurence Olivier came from in The Prince and the Showgirl?
On a mountain of skulls in the castle of pain, I sat on a throne of blood.
I'm no longer sure if Vigo is trying to subjugate humanity or start a black metal band.
Find me a child that I might live again.
Why do these evil underground spirits always want children to prolong their lives? Why don't they ever need someone like Don Mattingly?
There's gotta be 25,000 gallons of it!
Throwing out specific numbers without showing your math. And yes, if he had shown me math, I would have sinned that as well.
It's flowing through here like a river!
Yeah, but how did the slime get to the surface at the beginning of the movie without flooding the streets? Why did just a little of it seep onto the sidewalk? We find out later the slime is motivated by people's anger. And we saw a little bit of that during the opening scene, but not nearly enough to make it rise that far in such a convenient f***ing manner.
Van Horn. Pneumatic transit. I can't believe it.
At least they didn't give it a dumb name like Hyperloop. Janusz turns on his light balls to add what amounts to very little additional light. And this particular power is never used again or important to the story in any way.
Law does not recognize the existence of ghosts. I don't believe in them either.
So did this guy just write off the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man incident as a marketing campaign? Winston is in the courtroom and we'll see him in the crowd for a moment later. But then he's just gone and misses the whole Scolari Brothers reprise like he popped out to get a sandwich or something.
It's all in the hands of our lawyer now.
I guess it's totally fine that Lewis is a lawyer now, but this is one of the rare instances where I can actually see the shoehorn in the frame of the shot.
I think you guys are making a big mistake. I do mostly tax law and some probate stuff occasionally.
As their lawyer, you should probably have notified them of this mistake prior to the beginning of this court proceeding.
I got my law degree in night school.
Well, that's fine, Lewis. We got arrested at night.
This elitist bullshit about where and how you got your degree being more important than your ability to perform your job. Don't get me wrong, Tully is a terrible lawyer, but he didn't have to be.
I've been working underground for Con Ed for 27 years. I never saw anything like this in my life.
So the ooze is produced from the anger of New Yorkers, but we never get an explanation of whether Vigo is absorbing that hate and producing it on his own, or if the slime was always there waiting for someone to use it and no one discovered it until Ray did. As we're about to find out, there was as much thought put into this slime as 1980s Nickelodeon put into theirs. I can't tell you everything wrong with this trial, but I do know that it's being conducted without a jury, and that seems at least worth 10 cents. And if the Ghostbusters requested a bench trial, that's dumb. Now, if you want more information on this, go ask Legal Eagle instead of a guy who judges court proceedings based on the precedents set forth in the film My Cousin Vinny. The slime explodes, and suddenly there are two ghosts who pop up in electric chairs. Ghosts that were criminals the judge sentenced. But why? It came from some random pink slime underneath the city. Did Ray just happen to scoop up two dudes who just happened to be punished by this judge?
Oh my God, the Scolari Brothers!
How the f*** do you know that? These guys don't look human, and you're seeing them with their backs facing you.
All right! I've seen the order! Case dismissed!
But with no one around to confirm the judge made this order, what's to prevent him afterwards from saying he didn't?
I hope it still works. They should. Power cells have a half-life of 5,000 years.
Along with being an ecological nightmare, those power cells should have made you a rich man a long time ago. This asshole was just sitting on the patent for this technology while the Ghostbusters went bankrupt?
No. Ray.
Egon!
It takes 34 minutes for the movie to finally Ghostbusters 2. First off, why do the ghosts even bother throwing chairs around if they're invisible? Second off, why do they suddenly become visible at the end of this nonsense? Why do these assholes keep coming back to the courtroom? Isn't there beef with the judge? Shouldn't they be trying to kill him? Or whatever these ghosts are trying to do?
Ghostbusters, yes, we're back.
What the f*** is this, a teaser trailer inside the movie? Boy, I sure am glad the Ghostbusters are back in business. And it looks like they've learned their lesson. They know where they can follow the river of slime, but they're not tackling that right away. They're taking care of the small jobs, milking the town for all they can, because they know if they beat the final boss, then it's back to doing birthday parties and shit. This phantom jogger apparently runs through here so often that they know exactly where they're going to run so that they can calmly trap him without bringing out the proton packs. If that's the case, why are there so many f***ing joggers out here pretending like there isn't a regularly scheduled haunting at this same time every day? Bringing back Slimer for mere fan service. In fact, his very name, Slimer, in a movie filled with slime, should have been more significant, right?
You worthless piece of slime!
Being a dick to the slime for all the some time.
You're not sleeping with it, are you, Ray?
Sticking your dick in the slime for all the some time. Since it's not going to even be plugged in, I would have expected the scientists in this situation to explain the qualitative differences between a toaster and Tupperware. Either this asshole doesn't want to get caught, or he doesn't care if he gets caught. Either way, there's no reason for him to be making faces in the painting right now. Did you sit on a throne of blood in a castle of pain on top of a mountain of skulls, or did you do vaudeville with Jack and Benny? Hey, remember when Janusz was looking for a child because his master wanted him to? Yeah, what happened to that? It's got Vigo's evil inside of him, so I don't know why it would take so long to kidnap a baby, even if it's not Dana's. Later, it's established that he needs the child for a transformation that can only happen on New Year's Eve, but he doesn't say that from the beginning. It makes it seem like Janusz is waiting for the end of the movie to happen to become relevant again. There's a very audible difference between the sound of water pouring into the tub and the sound of slime pouring into the tub. But the character has to be ignorant of this until the appropriate time for her to be jump scared by the large wad of bubblegum. I give this attempt by the slime to take Dana's baby a 3 out of 10. I am also wondering why it hasn't tried to take any other children in the city.
Ran the name Vigo the Carpathian through the occult reference net. Look what came up.
So Peter told him about the painting, and they did their due diligence to look him up, but nothing on this screen suggests pink slime or anything having to do with what they've experienced so far in this movie. And yet they are 100% right that the guy in the painting has something to do with this.
No, please go you.
So nobody called him here, and yet the museum is just allowing them in? I know they got their reputations back, but I didn't realize they could just go into places without being invited. And museum security will you up if you don't have a ticket.
No ticket.
Dana, did you see some shirts here in the floor bed area?
Yeah, I put them in the hamper.
I have a hamper?
Man, I sure am glad they established Peter's hamper ownership in this movie.
Well, they couldn't get to you until after the new year.
I love how this city decides it's going to rely entirely on a for-profit company that can't even keep up with demand to deal with its ghost problem instead of calling in the National Guard, or even Mulder and Scully for that matter. How does no one else want to get in on the action when busting makes you feel good?
Why don't I run this wider shot through the spectroanalyzer?
Good, I'll try turning up the Rankins.
I applaud the effort of using real science words to describe the fake science that you are doing. And as interesting as this is, I would still prefer to see more busting. Man, if Vigo can do this from behind a painting in a museum, why the hasn't he won the movie yet? Winston, a clear hero, doesn't even get a thanks before the movie cuts to the next scene. Of course, I could also ask why the all-knowing Vigo didn't do something to Winston before he broke the door down and saved the day.
Pete, it's great that you're here. We've got incredible news.
Egon, Ray, and Winston show up and interrupt their date because Peter and Dana's love story is the least interesting part of the movie. But then they end up forcing us to go on this date with them anyway, so why is scene?
Now we're going into the subway and sewer system to see if we can trace the source of the flow.
Oh, so you could have done that instead of drilling a hole in the ground earlier? I see. Also, even though I already mentioned it before, it's downright criminal that you haven't already looked for this river of slime since the city embraced your services again.
Hello?
Hey! Hello?
The physics in this tunnel is racist.
Before we go any further, I think we should get our proton packs.
Why would you assholes ever go this far without your proton packs? Aside from needing an excuse to create some tension, of course. Wait a minute. This is a ghost train? Like a train died, and that's its ghost. So this was a sentient train, and it got stabbed in the foyer, and now its restless spirit haunts these old tracks? Also, watching Winston being very much afraid of this ghost train, I realized that I ain't afraid of no ghost really only means that you aren't afraid of a lack of ghosts. Childhood ruined.
Unbelievable.
Huh? Did I tell you? I wasn't lying, was I?
Did Ray really have a hard time convincing these guys that this river existed? Was that a thing they had to overcome in this movie?
See how deep it is.
They know the pink slime is volatile, yet they still decide to measure it from a device that is attached to Winston's hip, as if that has no chance of being a terrible idea.
Toast to the most charming.
Who am I gonna call? I'm gonna call Skip.
Why did you dump me?
I didn't dump you. I was protecting myself.
It really doesn't sound like the movie has an honest reason why they broke up, other than the movie wanted them to be.
One day, a beautiful princess came to live with them, and they bartered housekeeping services for room and board.
Rick Moranis' take on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is f***ing sublime, and probably deserves to give this movie a sin-off. But I'm mainly sinning the fact that they just wasted he and Annie Potts for this romantic subplot. I mean, why can't they be proton-packing Ghostbusters at this point?
So you want to play Boggle or Super Mario Brothers?
Lewis appears to be made up of all the riz that could be concentrated from my teenage years, and despite what the movie would have you believe, this kind of power does get you to the final level of Super Mario, but it does not get you the girl. Oh wow, I bet that adventure where Ray and Egon saved Winston from the river ooze was a humdinger. But yeah, no, the dating lives of Dana, Peter, Lewis, and Janine were probably more interesting to show instead, sure.
Oh, dear Ray, what are we doing? I was ready to kill you.
It's the stuff. It's like pure concentrated evil.
So, you took off some of your clothes that weren't even touching your skin, and you still have slime all over you, but now you can resist it because you took a jacket off?
It's all flowing Right to this spot.
Like, I don't know how you didn't know this already. You immediately connected the slime to the Vigo painting. So where else was this river going to be? We already knew what the secret of this ooze was, and go ninja, go ninja, go! Wow! Bobby Brown shows up during the Bobby Brown song? Ghostbusters 2, you spoil me.
Hey, you guys got another one of those proton packs? My kid brother really wants one.
Stealing my idea for a movie where Bobby Brown tries to give kids dangerous sci-fi weapons.
So you think we should go?
Gee, I don't know. I don't think we should leave her alone.
It seemed like the perfect time for Vigo or Janusz to steal the baby while Louis and Janine were making out and stuff. The only reason for all these characters to be on dates is for something to happen because of it. And yet, absolutely nothing of note happens until after the dates are over.
Negative human emotions are materializing in the form of a viscous psychoreactive plasm with explosive supernormal potential.
It kills me that these scientists don't bring the evidence of their claims to the mayor and instead hope that he just believes their story, even though they know he's not their friend. Yes, they got their case thrown out and they're able to bust ghosts again, but did they really think Lenny would just accept this shit on faith?
There seem to be 3 million completely miserable assholes living in the tri-state area.
Thinking only 3 million of the 16+ million people living in the New York City metro area in 1989 were miserable. That number was at least 3 times as big.
Being miserable and treating other people like dirt is every New Yorker's God-given right.
The alternate lyrics to Empire State of Mind somehow make it into the script. So wait, the Ghostbusters, who are respected again and have been rounding up ghosts all over town, can suddenly tell a tale so insane that they're sent to a psychiatric hospital? I'm worried about what happened to everyone from the last movie who told their friends and family about the giant marshmallow man.
I, Vigo, the scourge of Carpathia.
No, you've told me this. The scourge.
The sorrow of Moldavia.
Sorrows. I've heard all of this.
Okay, I'll give it up for Peter McNichol in this movie. He's great, and he deserves a send-off. And the movie is basically sinning itself here, but McNichol makes it so fun, I don't care they're doing our job for us. Also, this is a lot of goddamn candles for just a one-on-one with your boss.
Bring me the child that I might live again.
Didn't he already command Janusz to bring him a child? Why isn't he angry that he hasn't gotten him one yet? The f*** has Janusz been doing this whole time when he clearly wants to make Vigo happy? Also, did I miss where there was a reason Vigo needed an Oscar specifically? Because this whole operation would have gone a lot smoother if he chose an orphan instead. The Scourge of Carpathia needs to learn to work smarter, not harder.
Oscar?
This would have been so much scarier if it had happened 5 minutes ago. Imagine if she'd come home to Janine and Louis making out, and when she went to go check on her son, he was gone. And it wasn't some stupid shit where the kid is walking around on the ledge outside.
Oscar!
Dana doesn't even acknowledge what are likely Oscar's first steps. What in the f*** is this? Why does Janusz have ghost nanny powers? If Vigo can do this as a painting, I see no reason at all why he needs a physical body. And how is Ghost Nanny not a movie already? Also, I'm wondering why Scary Poppins here couldn't have just taken the kid without him walking outside and nearly falling to his death. Dana, who is very concerned about the well-being of her child, will now slowly run up these steps and turn around to look at what? What is she looking at? Is the wind really that strong? Get inside the museum already! The very urgent search for Dana's son continues.
Oh, I thought I'd lost you.
Why are you not scooping the child up and running the f*** out of the museum right now? Giving out Easter eggs on New Year's Eve. Also, holy shit, that Cannibal Girls movie must be f***ing scary. There are more people running out of this midnight show in 1989 than actual ticket sales the movie had during its entire run in 1973. Also, Ivan Reitman once again puts another one of his children in his own movie. You gotta love how people ran out of this place still clutching their popcorn. That shit's expensive, and they're not letting some pink slime ruin their investment. I do not believe that this woman would not notice all the goo she just stepped in. I'm still not entirely sure what this pink goo actually does. At one point, it magically conjured 2 brothers in a courtroom who were executed. At the beginning of the movie, it made a baby carriage run around in traffic. It made Ray and Winston fight. Now it's resurrecting minks on a fur coat. This pink slime basically does whatever the movie needs it to do. Ghost Monster pretends like the Washington Square Arch is an object it needs to go under to get past. If the pink sludge underneath the streets is causing the ghost outbreak in New York City, then how did the Titanic get involved? That f***er sunk about 375 miles away from New York. Myself and Paige drove from Up in Smoke, simultaneously questioning whether or not seeing ghosts means that edible was a bad idea.
I hate Jell-O. Oh, come on, there's always room for Jell-O.
I get your joke, Peter, but Winston said he hated Jell-O. The amount of room is immaterial. Go f*** yourself. So the Ghostbusters see the Statue of Liberty on a license plate and get the idea to make her come to life so that New Yorkers could rally around it and be nice to each other and shit. And in a flash, they're just standing directly below the Statue of Liberty. So are the ferry operators still sitting around taking people there, or did they get the Coast Guard to assist?
That's frosted.
Nope. The symbolism wasn't lost on me, guys. The Ghostbusters are going to spray their goo into the Statue of Liberty and create life.
Man, I can't wait to see people's faces when we come on shore. This should really get the city's positive energy flowing.
It should scare the shit out of everyone, but it doesn't. So I guess the sin is this works. Movie sets up a Lewis is going to save the day moment that it has no intention of paying off. He gets there, does a proton pack thing, and it conveniently lines up with them actually solving the problem inside. And then he celebrates his stolen valor. So wait, the Statue of Liberty is easily walking through the streets of New York City and everyone here is just like, cool! No way, this doesn't end in tragedy.
Sorry! My fault!
I'd like to know how they know there wasn't a cop in that car.
Okay, but I didn't know you had your license.
So Slimer is just a good ghost now? That intervention with Casper must have done wonders. Vigo combines with the baby to form a discount Michael McKean.
Drop the hammer on her!
All this talk about getting New York together and thinking positive thoughts to make the pink slime less evil was really just a trick by which the movie gets the Statue of Liberty to Batman a glass ceiling so they can get inside the museum. Yes, the people do start singing Auld Lang Syne later, but that's more about New Year's than it is the Statue of Liberty, so right off.
Is he dead?
This slime is positively charged. He'll wake up feeling like $1 million.
Oh. I guess Vigo can walk around outside the painting now because his transition to Oscar almost worked. I have no clue, and you don't either. That's right, the people are all gathered together singing Auld Lang Syne. And this is supposed to be New York's feel-good moment, enough to turn the tide on the protective slime shells surrounding the museum. It has nothing to do with the Statue of Liberty, which for some reason collapsed after being puppeteered by the Ghostbusters. Should have gone down on the 4th of July. Then Lady Liberty could have truly represented a symbol to rally around. Also, the Statue of Liberty fell to the ground and probably killed 100 people, but we never hear that story. After blowing up Vigo with laser beams and slime, no one even questions where a ghost goes when it dies.
Hey, fellas, you want to take a look at this?
Better come take a look at this piece of art. It seamlessly blends reality with the surreal, taking tradition and turning it on its head while being, in a sense, prophetic, but in another very real sense, managing to subvert expectation cliche.
Early Renaissance, I think. Raphael or Piero della Francesca?
The movie is trying to act like this painting isn't giving off more of a Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo vibe, or at least someone from the high Renaissance. But hey, I guess art is subjective. Also, I was going to question why a painting of the Ghostbusters just magically appeared for no reason, but mainly I'm questioning why there's no Dana. Doesn't Dana deserve to be in the painting? She works at the museum and paints and does touch-ups, and she was the first responder to this situation. For f***'s sake. This is like Chewbacca not getting a medal at the end of Star Wars. The Ghostbusters celebrate, knowing damn well the mayor is ready and willing to f*** them with a big-ass invoice if they can't get Lady Liberty back in place. Holy shit. Nearly 9 minutes of credits in a 1989 film? I don't care what kind of visuals you present during the credit sequence. That is a long time, especially back then. Everybody's cheering now, but we'll be back to hating each other tomorrow. Did we learn a lesson here? Was it be kind when an evil demon shows up and feeds off the pink slime, but when he's defeated, you can go back to normal? Slimer credit. The collapsed Statue of Liberty, which definitely would have been battered and bruised during its adventure, is somehow back where it belongs without there being massive amounts of scaffoldings everywhere.
They love every man they meet, first to death, then for dinner.
Hey! Stop that carriage!
Whoa!
Stop!
Get it! I say, shut up! Oh, sorry. Stop!
Can you tell us when it's going to be, or do we have to buy the book?
You listen to me, you little turd's assistant. You don't threaten this administration.
Aren't we supposed to have the telekinetic guy who bends the spoons?
This is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
On a mountain of skulls in the castle of pain, I sat on a throne of blood.
Weird flex, but sure.
What was will be, what is will be no more. It's morphing time!
This is a surprise.
Oh, hello. Now I'm going to show you something that is going to totally blow your rocks off. It's absolutely orgasmic.
We found this in a playground. Professional, very cool stuff.
I have seen some disgusting crud in my time, but you take the cake.
Like I said, very cool stuff.
The bathtub was trying to eat Oscar. I was giving him a bath, and there were creatures writhing around, and they were growling and snarling. And there were flames, and I heard a voice say, Zool.
He was poisoned, stabbed, shot, hung, stretched, disemboweled, drawn, and quartered.
I have been stabbed, shot, poisoned, frozen, hung, electrocuted, and burned.
I found it! What? Right here, there's a hole!
Let's go.
Oh, if I see a hole, I'll hide in that hole.
No. It sounds ludicrous.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Jack, I spent an hour last night in my bedroom talking to Fiorello LaGuardia, and he's been dead for 40 years.
Don't you ever say that. He's just unavailable.